Hello, I am Swaxor of Soulforge Team A1 Alliance, and I'm here to talk about the deck that I have named NT Duskmaw, not Duskmaw, Duskmane Dragons. Sorry about that. The reason I've named it so is because it includes 3 copies each of Duskmaw, Twilight Drake, Frostmane Dragon, and Scorchmane Dragon. Thus, 9 dragons, which is more, I think, than any other deck in the current meta. It is an anti-removal deck based around the cards, the creatures that provide a removal spell-ish effect as well as just being solid creatures on their own. These being Sorrow Maiden, Scorchmane Dragon, later on, not during player level 1 obviously, Duskmaw, Twilight Drake, Uranti Warlord, Ebonmaw Warlord, Scythian Direhound. The list goes on. These are the ones that I chose to include because they are simply the most efficient at what they do. Berserk Spite Mage is also one of these, but that's more removal than a creature really. That also serves as reach. It's pretty much just a lightning spark that kills whatever it hits, which is pretty good, if I do say so myself, with, of course, a one of Howlzith mixed in there for some value. I have an article up on a1sf.blogspot.com explaining the individual card choices of the deck, which I encourage you to go check out, so as to not make this video too long, because I also want to get into the matches. But the new card that I want to talk about, just for a tiny moment, is Sorrow Maiden. Sorrow Maiden is a card right now that is very well placed because of the prominence of the deck's BroodMaw, as we've named it within A1 Alliance, which is the Brew Queen deck's, a new Brew Queen tracker deck, splashing BroodMaw, Duskmaw Twilight Drake. Sorry about that. And against that deck, it basically kills tracker that hasn't gotten pumped. And if it has gotten pumped, it's usually not by a lot, and you actually just get to shrink it with an Ebonmaw Warlord or Scythian Direhound and take it right back out. And also, it kills Brew Queen even under-leveled, which is immensely important for this deck because generally the threats you want to have on the board by the end of the game need to stay on the board, because when you try to win the game with your threats, you are going for quality over quantity, with cards like Scorchmane Dragon, Frostmane Dragon, and Sorrow Maiden. And so the opponent having access to a card like this in Brew Queen really prevents this from ever being possible for you, because it simply kills anything at player level 3. Past that, it's just a very solid creature, and against the Kanji Wagyu decks, it kills Crypt Conjurer, even underleveled a lot of the time, with the support of just the Tendrils at player level 1, and as a level 2, it actually just kills the Conjurer. Also kills Wagyu that hasn't been pumped too much. It kills half of Addition Sludge for free with the help of a Tendrils. Generally, it's just very efficient at taking out the key threats of the format right now, which is why I feel like it has a slot in the deck. And the deck was already playing 3 copies each of Epidemic, Tendrils of Twilight, Ebonmaw Warlord, and Direhound. I've gone down to 2 Direhounds now to actually fit in the Sorrow Maidens, but there is so much shrink already present in the deck, it's pretty much free to just include 3 Sorrow Maidens and get to kill things off of it. So I feel like the deck is very well positioned right now, again, because these are the 2 most prominent decks in the meta. And besides that, it's just very solid at handling just about anything your opponent throws at you, even if you don't expect it, because the deck is just so good at dealing with creatures in general. It does suffer some against the Stasis Warden and Kitfinity style decks because it's not that good at putting a lot of pressure on early game. It does disrupt their combo somewhat, but in the late game, cards like Gox 3 usually just take over before you can actually get a decent board position going. And it also does have some consistency issues sometimes. But again, I encourage you to go ahead and read my article on the A1 Soulforge Blogspot site, and check it out there. And I will see you all for the first game of this series. Here we are for game 1. We are going second against Susie. This hand we have right here is decent. It doesn't allow for a whole lot of interesting plays, so we're just going to go ahead and hope that our opponent does not play something like a Brew Queen on turn 1. This is going to be all about yeah, trying to sustain a board presence. Sorrow Maiden is definitely a solid play here. He already has one. Our opponent already has one target that we can hit with it. The question is whether to go Duskmane or Brimstone Tyrant as our second play. Brimstone Tyrant is generally the better card to level. We're definitely playing Sorrow Maiden in lane 1 because that allows for more mobility for our mobility creatures. The question is, do we play Duskmane in 3 or Brimstone somewhere else? Playing Duskmane in 3 is very strong in case we draw Tendrils, because we practically have full mobility to kill anything except the tracker, but the tracker doesn't do much, so that's not really an issue. But at the same time, I feel like leveling Brimstone Tyrant against the Brood Queen decks is going to be very strong. So it's definitely a toss-up. The safer play is definitely Duskmane. The greedier play is Brimstone Tyrant. But I think I'm going to go with Duskmane, simply because it allows us to play just about anything we want to level next turn if we also draw Tendrils. Which we do, so that's amazing, and we might actually get the opportunity to play double Scorchmane Dragon this time. But let's just go ahead and see what our opponent does. I believe our opponent is playing on mobile. That might be a reason why he or she is taking just a few more seconds than we are making their plays. And passing the turn in general. So, yes. There's another tracker. So I fear we are going to see a Weirwood Patriarch here. Or not. Or maybe we still are. That's, it's not certain certain just yet. Right. So this is interesting. But we do get to Tendrils, the Hermit, for pretty much free. And we actually do get to go double Scorchmane Dragon, which is incredibly strong. So we are going to kill that and just go double dragon here and just battle. And I could consider moving the Duskmane, but I don't really think it matters. What this does do is that if he's going to block this with his own Duskmane, he'll have to have it further away from our Sorrow Maiden. So it's actually advantageous to keep it in lane 3. Because the thought is, even if we draw another Tendrils and he has something to kill the Sorrow Maiden, that creature will probably die to just a natural Tendrils without the Duskmane having to be in that lane. So there's really no advantage to moving Duskmane away at that point. So again, we might as well just reduce the amount of value he'll get from his own Duskmane, whether it is with Tendrils or without. And I also have to inform you all, I'm a bit under the weather right now. So, the stream will definitely be influenced by this. And I apologize ahead of time. Right, so we had no Tendrils, which is good for us. This turn is definitely interesting from our perspective. Because we are set up really badly if he does have a Tendrils. So what I'm actually going to do is to Spite Mage the middle Duskmane to kill it off and then play a Frostmane Dragon in lane 3. We are behind on the board at this point, but any Tendrils would just kill his Duskmane, and this guy can still be blocked quite easily by something like this Brimstone Tyrant. So we are not in a bad position here. Also, I will inform you, this is the constructed queue, so these games are as competitive as it's gonna get without actually seeking out great players to play against. So for next turn, we have a lot of options. Playing Brimstone Tyrant to cover up the Scorchmane Dragon is probably gonna be very favorable. But that really depends on what our opponent is going to do. But that will allow us to do something like play Frostmane Dragon in front of his tracker and have his tracker survive and have his tracker die to it because of the 4 damage from the Tyrant. And furthermore, if you play something with 6 health, we can move over our own Frostmane Dragon and pair it with the Tendrils of Twilight to actually take out his creature. And if nothing else, we can actually just Tendrils the Duskmane and play a Tyrant in front of the tracker to kill it, not losing any of our own creatures. And because this Frostmane hit on the turn that it did, we get to make a free dragon, too. Unless he plays Duskmaw Tendrils. In which case, we're not that sad, because that means he has level 3 Duskmaws, and his underdrops will have a lot less potential overall. So that's definitely positive. Once again, I do fear our opponent is playing on mobile, possibly 3G internet, because, as you can see, this Duskmaw has not yet been freed up in terms of being able to attack just yet, which means that the server has not yet registered his or her turn as being started, which is too bad. This is also my first foray into recording anything like this. The plan will be to just record 2, 3, maybe even 4 games, and clip them all together, win or lose, no matter how the timer does, but yeah. So that's going to be the aim. Whether I'm doing it as a playlist or a single video, you'll get to see, because you're obviously watching this on YouTube. So, that's a dumb thing to say. Come on, Susie. Yeah. This game is moving intolerably slow. Tolerably slow. Right, so in the meantime, I can talk about the matchup in general. What seems to be the case with this matchup is that Scorchmane Dragons and Sorrow Maidens are my main ways to take over the board and win the game in a quick fashion in this matchup. And we finally got a response from the server on our opponent's side. But yeah, the general goal is to just overpower my opponent with Dragons and Sorrow Maidens, like cards that generate a lot of value as compared to their cards, which are overall more consistent, like Soothsayer Hermit and Bramblewood Tracker, but in the end they just do not, they cannot put up with the power, the overall power level of a card like Sorrow Maiden or Tracker. No, not Tracker, sorry. Sorrow Maiden or Scorchmane Dragon. We've leveled 2 Dragons and 1 Sorrow Maiden so far. And Brimstone Tyrant also goes a long way towards making all of our cards very good. Right, so we're making the dragon in the empty lane. Now the question is, what else do we do? What I am going to do here is move the Frostmane over, because at this point it makes more sense to replace the Frostmane than the Scorchmane, because of the fact that this deck actually survives and prevents damage if I place it like this. And so I'm going to level another Frostmane Dragon, and also Tendrils of Twilight his Weirdwood Patriarch, allowing us to potentially trade it next turn. And we start our player level 2 with 2 level 2s in hand, which is great. Scorchmane Dragon is especially the card you want when you have cards like Frostmane Dragon already on the board. Because they are so mobile, you can move them around to deal 5 to something and die, and then you, in the same lane, place a Scorchmane Dragon to finish off whatever they damage. So overall, this hand is absolutely amazing. And also, we have Berserk Spite Mage, so if you play something that our board can't handle immediately, we can just use the Spite Mage to handle it. Berserk Spite Mage is a card that has fallen out of favor recently, and that is more so because the faction combination simply has not had the power card that it needed to abuse the fact that this card is so very good. I tried playing 2 for a time and just realized I wanted the 3rd copy, because having a straight answer like this to anything like a Wagyu or a Brood Queen or anything like that, sorry, it's just very strong. And it is definitely a card you want in a deck like this. Because that means you can focus your less powerful removal spells like Evanbound Warlord's trigger, or Scorchmane Dragon's trigger, or Brimstone Tyrant's trigger, or for that matter, Uranti Warlord's trigger on the cards that are slightly weaker. And use Spite Mage to take out the stronger ones, which means you get a good mix of things, which will in the end leave you with the creatures whose triggers can finish off the damage minions. That is an interesting play. So we have a very clear line of play here, which includes actually canceling the trigger of this Frostmane Dragon. We cannot really make use of the egg placement here. Rather, I'm going to play Spite Mage to trade with a Thundersaur, and then play Scorchmane Dragon to kill off the Weirwood Patriarch. Dealing our opponent 10, trading here, and leaving us with a far superior board to them. Here I made a mistake. I should have moved the dragon in. Because having a dragon in lane 3 is just strictly better than not having the dragon in lane 3, because of how mobile it is. Once again, we have an absolutely amazing hand. We have the Duskmane plus Tendrils combo. It's even a leveled Duskmane, so it gets us very far ahead on the board. And at the same time, we have a Brimstone Tyrant to replace any of these Frostmane Dragons, because it would kill the Frostmane Dragon anyway. Meanwhile, the other one can move in and deal 5 damage to something, which will end up dealing 11, which is the key number against the Brood Queen deck, because both Tracker and Brood Queen have 11 health at level 2. So, this hand is great, and if our opponent does not have a good draw right here, he or she will fall very far behind very quickly. And this is very much the story of this matchup, it feels like. In player level 1, I don't have that much trouble keeping up, because the decks are equally consistent, but my cards are just better. During player level 2, it's not that hard for me to keep on the board, because I should have leveled cards like Scorchmane Dragon and Brimstone Tyrant. But it's player level 3 and onward that really gets tough for me, because they have Soothsayer Hermits to make sure they draw more level 3s, as well as to enable their Duskmaws more often, and Tracker that has Consistent. While my level 3 cards are overall more powerful than theirs, they are just going to have quantity over quality in the favor of them in the later stages of the game. So I have to play the racing game at that point in the game. But this game does look very favored for us so far. There's a Bramblewood Tracker. And Oros, they're both going to die to the trigger of Brimstone Tyrant. Right. So, it's actually not clear that I'd even want to play the Tyrant to get its trigger. I think I would much rather just play the Tyrant to block the Tracker, and then Duskmaw plus Tendrils in front of the Oros. And just maintain my 12-12 Dragon, which is going to be bigger than anything he's going to be doing. And I'm going to keep it in this lane, because this means with the two dragons combined, I have pretty much have control over the entire board. Alright, this hand is not as good as our previous ones, but the fact that we have Scythian Direhound is very, very strong. Even post the nerf. And also, I'm making an effort to actually play the non-alternate art, because I feel like this art is actually prettier. But I digress. Even after the nerf, this card is still immensely powerful as an underdrop. And really one of the reasons that we even get to play Sorrow Maiden in the first place. Because it's one of the best shrink effects as underleveled. So I would not be surprised if we're just going to end up playing like Direhound and Epidemic next turn. Which is going to be completely fine. Epidemic works great underleveled, because when you're forced to play it as your leveled card, the level 1 scales very well into the level 2, the level 2 scales not as well into the level 3. Which is the main issue with the card, in general. Alright, so if he has Dizzy and Siphon here, it's very good for him. He does not, which means this Epidemic is going to wreak havoc. Or not. That was actually very good for him. Okay, so we have options here. As I said, Direhound and Epidemic could be very solid. But what I think I'm actually going to do is play the Sorrow Maiden, because it's a very good underdrop. And also play Direhound in front of the Tracker, killing his Tracker, and just attack. Sorrowmane is a very good underdraw because of cards exactly like Direhound. And also it can take down on-level Brood Queens. Not that he did level any Brood Queens, he actually did not see any of those in player level 1, which is very good for us. I think Brood Queen, like Tracker, is definitely the hardest card to handle a lot of copies of, but Brood Queen is a very close second. Brood Queen is the card we do not want to face multiple copies of late in the game, because it just neutralizes any of our important threats. And as I said, when our threats are generally more powerful, but fewer in number than his, it's very important that we get to keep our good threats around. Such as, once again, Sorrow Maiden, Frostmane Dragon, or Scorchmane Dragon. Yeah. It's unfortunate that this match is taking a bit longer than I would have liked, but we can't really do much about that. We're still looking very good. Having these 4 creatures on the board, and him not having leveled Brood Queen especially makes it a good situation, because otherwise he could have just gone like Brood Queen with the Brood Fang blocking the Brimstone Tyrant. But we get to avoid that because he does not have leveled Brood Queens, and an underleveled Brood Queen from him would be very underwhelming right now. What I hope he doesn't have is something like Hermit 2 into the Bremblewood tracker he's just leveled, because that would mean that he had all 3 trackers leveled at this point. So I would like to avoid that. But past that, this actually looks very good for us. Especially with the hand we have. Again, since he doesn't have Brood Queen leveled, we get to play this relatively fearlessly. He does have the potential of the Duskmane Tendrils combo, but we can rarely, if ever, play around that. Unless he actually has the Duskmane on the board. Like, the natural Duskmane into Tendrils from hand is very difficult to play around in general. The best way to play around is actually to make sure to pressure his health total, because Duskmane cannot kill something and block at the same time. He is not a Flesh Reaver. So, that's something you have to keep in mind. Much the same problem as Scorchmane Dragon 2 or Uranti Warlord, because they only affect the creature in their own lane. Which means they are much better when you're ahead than when you're behind. The same thing goes for Duskmane. Even though Duskmane plus Tendrils is probably good no matter when you draw it. Alright, so he has Soothsayer Hermit level 1, which is not incredibly strong. He's probably just going to be returning a Tendrils of Twilight to kill our Brimstone Tyrant. And that's as far as he's going to go. Yeah, that was the truth. So we are looking very, very good going into the 3rd player level of this game. Also, our opponent is down to 6.5 minutes on their clock, which is not good for him or her. Yeah, we can't avoid losing this Sorrow Maiden, so I'm just going to bite the bullet and let it die. I'm going to place Frostmane Dragon here and Sorrow Maiden 2 here. What also happened this game was that we simply just outdrew our opponent. Like, I drew, I think, 6 level 2s, which is very, very good. As you can see, we drew 1 level 3, and we have 5 more in the deck. So we straight up drew 6 level 2 cards, and he drew, I think, 3 or 4 at the most, if not fewer. Possibly even just the 2 trackers. It looked very bad for him. So I do believe we have pretty good handle in this game. So with this hand, like, it's going to be very, very simple to play this hand out. We are going to want to play the Sorrow Maiden and the Ebonbound Warlord almost no matter what he does. If he does leave a creature on the board with 11 attack, such as a Pumped Tracker 2, we might just Ebonbound Warlord it and Sorrow Maiden and activate our Sorrow Maiden, because that's pretty much just a free card. And leveling Ebonbound Warlord is always a place you want to be. But we are no doubt playing this Frostmane Dragon in a lane where it's going to be favorable to have it. Most likely canceling the trigger on our Frostmane Dragon level 2, because the egg is going to be a hindrance. Like the thing with Frostmane Dragon is most of the time you would actually want to place the egg in the lane where the Frostmane Dragon is, and then move the Frostmane Dragon away at the same time, because that's almost always the lane where you don't want the egg. He has a underlevel Tangle. This is going to be dangerous for us because he does have two level 2 Hermits, which means this Frostmane Dragon might not be safe. Okay, that was a very good turn from him. So what we are going to do... Once again, it could very easily be correct to level this Warlord. I do not think it is. I think it is correct to just kill this, play Dragon in front of Auros, and play Sorrow Maiden in an empty lane. And just bite the bullet, take the 14 damage. Here we do draw a Frostmane Dragon to trade with his Tracker, as well as a Berserk Spite Mage. That can kill anything that's too dangerous. We're simply hoping he doesn't have the Hermit to return his Tangle. Even though that is going to take both of his plays. But we do not have anything to interact favorably with the Sorrow Maiden in our hand currently. So that's actually a problem. We are just going to have to see what he or she does. I've been throwing around the pronoun he. It's just pure reflex. Because I've played a lot of Magic tournaments, and 99.9% of the people who play Magic tournaments are guys. It's just a fact. So, it is not to be sexist, it is simply force of habit. Whether or not that habit is sexist is a different discussion entirely. There we saw the passing of the turn. This game might just end in our opponent timing out, which is unfortunate. There's the Soothsayer Hermit. That's too bad. We really did not want to see that, because here comes the Tangle. But we are not going to fall too far behind, even despite that. Like, we are going to take a bunch of damage here, but the Spite Mage is... Oh. Never mind. Why did he not play the Tracker first? Yeah, that was a very bad play from our opponent's side. Like, very, very bad. Though I guess it might be better to level the Invoker than the Tangle. But still, I do not believe this was a correct play. Okay, so we have options here. I think the egg is just going in the empty lane. And we're just going to make our trades. Because our opponent does not have any more trackers at this point. So just aiming to trade off the board does seem like the place where we want to be, especially because we have more leveled cards than he does. Case in point. This hand is just amazing. We get to do 13 damage to our opponent's entire board because this Frostmane Egg is still in play. And survive with level 3 Brimstone Tyrant and level 3 Scorchmane Dragon. But yeah. This, that turn was, I think it was misplayed from our opponent. I think in order to get a good presence on the board, he should have played Tracker into Hermit, rebuying the Tangle 2, and killing our Frostmane Dragon, because that would allow him to gain 10 health off his Auros, keep a lot more creatures on the board, just push more damage in general, whereas that play allowed us to pretty much trade off the board with what we had. Which he or she couldn't have known, but it's still a risk. It's still something you have to keep in mind when playing like that. And what I really hope, actually, is that we don't even have to use the Brimstone Tyrant here and can just level our other Scorchmane Dragon. But that's I think, wishful thinking. And our opponent is running very low on time right now. So, I would say we're definitely favored right now. Oh no, we do actually get to play the Scorchmane 1. Or the Scorchmane 2, that is. Still have to replace the egg, but this does work out very much in our favor. And our opponent just played 2 Duskmanes, so it's unlikely that the Scorchmane 3 is going to die this turn. It is always a possibility. Oh, and I fear that here comes the other Duskmaw. Along with a Tendrils that our opponent played previously. If our opponent even... Nope, no Duskmaw, just the Tendrils. And a level 1 Soothsayer Hermit, which does nothing. And our the creature which does nothing. So, options. Lots of options. Definitely just moving both creatures out of the way here. Could just double Spite Mage his board, but I feel like this is much more advantageous to get 2 creatures on the board at the same time. And as well as deal 35 damage to the face. To the point where... And we draw another Scorchmane 3. We do have 2 of those in our deck at this point, which is very, very strong. So I do assume we're going to win this game at this point. We are incredibly far ahead on the board right now. He will need a Duskmaw Tendrils combo or a Tangle 2. Both of which are in his deck in many copies. But it's unlikely that our opponent is going to come back from this. So... However long that game took, we are up 16 minutes and 12 seconds to nothing. Like, if we weren't going to win this game, our opponent is going to time out. Anyway, because every passing of the turn from me to him took 2 or 3 minutes each. So, it's unfortunate. I might just cut in the video. But probably not, because I commentated all along. What I'm trying to say is, I could cut this out of the video, but I'm not going to. And... our opponent is not going to make it on time. 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Delayed response. Come on, Soulforge. There we go. So it's unfortunate. Our opponent timed out, but we did have a pretty good hold on that game. It was closer than I would have liked during the early stages of player level 3, because our opponent drew a lot of level 3s and 2s, but in the end we had just leveled more cards and drew very well in the second half, and our opponent just bricked pretty much. So that was the first game, and I'll see you all for game 2. Welcome back for game 2. Right here we're playing against Shogun Leo. Sorry. Jeez, my voice cracked there. And we're going first. We have some options. Option number 1 is playing Sorrow Maiden. Option number 2 is playing Scorchmane Dragon. I believe Scorchmane Dragon is slightly too greedy, and Sorrow Maiden is actually very well placed in the current meta. So I am going to play the Sorrow Maiden in lane 5 and pass the turn. Both are very solid to level. Scorchmane, again, is the greedier play, because it's played solely for the purpose of leveling a card, while Sorrow Maiden is the card we want on the board now. But it also levels very well, so we lose very little, actually, from making this play over the other one. Scorchmane definitely has more raw power, and this is already probably not a very serious deck. If I just go ahead and check, yes, triple Relic Hunter with Grove Matriarch. I was assuming Spore Lord, but okay, this is weird. I do not know what's going on, people. I am stumped. So I'm just gonna take this trade. That's a 2-for-1. I do not mind. I guess he's going to leave a token that he's going to replace something with something to get some value, possibly off a Nova. This might just be a deck I haven't seen before, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem that good. Like, I have a lot of answers to somebody trying to grow big creatures. I'm just surprised to see Grove Matriarch out of any deck, actually. He's just playing plants, more or less. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is play Spite Mage here. Battle. Tendrils this, and Brimstone Tyrant. Leaving my opponent with only a seedling on the board. Right. So, I am... going to hope that Spite Mages and Duskmane combos are going to get me there against his big creatures. Okay, so this seems like a slightly underpowered version of the AU replace deck, or at least a more all-in version, with the Steel Watch guards, and he's discarding a card. Interesting. I'm just gonna play double Scorchmane, or Frostmane, sorry. I wish I had double Scorchmane here because my opponent's not doing anything. I think I have the better upgrade creature in this matchup. I'm just going to throw that out there in the form of Brimstone Tyrant. Yeah, here, Double Warlord seems like a solid play. Like, it's just the card you want to level when you get into player level 2 as an underdrop. That's pretty much why it's in there. It means you don't fall too far behind. It's among the best. It's definitely the best or second best of the bound underdrops. Sharpbound Invoker is probably better currently, if nothing else, just because Brevillewood Tracker is such a good card. But otherwise, this card will probably take the cake. Take the title. I'm going to make one egg and replace the other one. Or, and cancel the other one. Or no, wait, no. I think this is going to work out just fine. No, never mind. I'm going to have to replace one of them either way. Because I do want to keep my other dragon around. So, like this. This Brimstone Tyrant is slightly awkward, but we get to level our third Ebonbound Warlord along with it, so... our player level 3, even if we don't draw level cards, is going to look very solid. I have a lot of good cards to draw. We have 5, 6 level 2 cards still. That's a very big creature. I'll give him that. Oh, should have attacked first. That was very dumb. Yeah, I missed a ton of damage there. I'm very sorry. Missed 13 damage to the face. Come on, tendrils and stuff. No, but we have an epidemic, so this guy is going to die no matter what. Yeah, just one big creature is not that hard to handle with this deck, unless he actually gets the Relic Scout to go along with it, but he can't do that if he's on the Shark Claw Crusher plan. Really. Double Relic Scout, that could get ugly. Fortunately, only level 1 Steel Watch Guard, so there's another one. But yeah, Epidemic seems like a given here, especially now that he's playing Phytobomb. Jeez. So yeah. Very all-in version of the level up deck, or upgrade deck, that is. We get our dragon right on time, right in time to be able to actually play something, to actually get a free dragon next turn, and we draw our 2 other best level cards, I would say. Yeah, all our other ones, well, maybe Spite Mage is more important to level, but the other ones are pretty solid as underdrops too. This matchup feels like it's going to hinge on whether or not we're going to lose to a Nova 4 at some point, which is the prime reason why I'm very sad that we missed that damage earlier. Yeah, we do get to move the Frostmane in to replace, or to kill the Nova right now. And this guy's not big enough to actually kill the egg immediately, so get to get some value there as well. Move in there. Battle. Then what I'm going to do is block here with a Scorchmane and replace the Seedling in 3. Excuse me. Get a free dragon and be doing well. Even though I haven't gotten the Duskmane combo yet, like, just having these cards, since he's killing his own creatures while I'm also killing his creatures, I get to stay very far ahead here. because he can invest in big guys all he wants when I have Spite Mages and Duskmane combos. So yeah, this is looking very good. Here I have the Howl if I need it. I'm actually just going to press battle. And then Direhound here, kill the spirit, and then Howl his face. The best thing he can have here is a Phyto Bomb, because it does kill 2 of my creatures, but that's about it. And then maybe a Steel Watchguard 3. That would probably be his best course of action, like playing a Steel Watchguard in lane 1 or 3 to kill off one of my Frostmanes. Oh, he actually had it. Nice, called it. Straight up. I'm gonna do like this, Brimstone Tyrant to kill that off, and Frostmane Dragon in lane 3, give full mobility. All that good stuff. Make sure that Steel Watchguard doesn't get out of hand, and I get to chain it into another Frostmane Dragon 3 that will give me the free dragon unless he can actually handle either the dragon or the egg. And he has a 1-turn window to do that. So I'm potentially going to get 2 free dragons out of this. Oh, interesting. He's chaining those level up cards. Not level up, upgrade cards. Sorry. And a Relic Hunter. Yeah, his deck looks nice, but it just seems very inconsistent. Pop an egg here. Move over. Battle. I'm going to play it here because if none of my other creatures die, that means I'm going to need to be able to put the egg in a place where it doesn't get killed immediately. So if I have to put the egg blocking the Relic Hunter, it's not very good. But he's just losing this game. This is one of those games I might not include in the final video. But we'll see. If you're watching this, I did include it, so which means I'm a petty bastard who takes any win as a win. As you should. It's a win. Come on, like you won the game. You won the game. Yeah, he's dead. He's very dead. If I could kill my own dragons just to get more dragons, I would. But I cannot. I would have to cancel the ability to do that, and I'm not going to do that, because that's pointless. So game over. GG Shogun Leo. That was a bit faster than the last one. I'll see you all for game 3. Welcome back to the final game of this video series. We're playing against Emit86. Playing zombies, I assume. Some Nectrium deck with Tomb Pillager at the very least. We're going second. And this hand is interesting. Sorrow Maiden might be a good call here. I'm probably playing Sorrow Maiden almost no matter what. The question is whether or not we're leveling Scorchmane Dragon or Frostmane Dragon. So I'm going to play Sorrow Maiden first, as that is the safe bet. Now the question is Scorchmane Dragon, Frostmane Dragon. There are upsides and downsides to both. The thing is, if we play Scorchmane Dragon, we're running right into his Wrathswill without any support. But if he does have the support, he's going to kill our Sorrow Maiden anyway. Frostmane Dragon makes us more likely to be able to handle whatever he's playing. But at the same time, the zombie creatures aren't that strong on their own, so I'm actually just going to block with this Scorchmane Dragon and hope that he does not have something plus will to kill our Sorrow Maiden, such as the Tendrils, for example. Like, we're going for the greedy play here, definitely, but I think it's going to pay off, because the zombie deck does lose a lot of power later in the game, which is when our deck is definitely the strongest. So he might just rebuy a Tendrils that he had to discard last turn, which would be too bad. Yep, there it is. And he does not have the will, which is very good for us. So, interesting plays available here. I'm actually going to Tendrils this, and replace this, and kill this. That clears the most of the board out of any of the plays we could have made. Oh, and we have the old Duskmane Tendrils combo in this hand. So it's likely we're just going to Spite Mage the Hermit and play Duskmane Tendrils on whatever else he plays. So yeah. Again, Duskmane has a lot of plays a similar role to Spite Mage in that he takes care of whatever ridiculous threat there is. And he does help some of the consistency issues, while also causing some, because he's obviously a Soulbind card, which puts 3 extra cards in your deck. Ooh, Abyssal Brute. That is an interesting take on this archetype. It might not be unlikely that we're just going to Epidemic here, because that is going to be a valuable play. Valuable. Yeah, I think I'm going to play Epidemic first thing. And then yeah, I guess Duskmaw is actually going to be the strongest thing we can do. Like, leveling Spite Mage is strong, but this is very, very solid, and we get to keep our entire board. And if he does not have like double Wrath's Will, we actually get to make 2 free dragons, which is huge. So yeah, we're pretty far ahead right now in this game. Which is nice. I also have to apologize ahead of time. The third game got lost in recording. I forgot to actually press record on OBS, and instead I pressed preview. So it looked as if I was recording, but I was in fact not. But it was against Knight of Words on UT Dinosaurs with Remmelwood Tracker, and what ended up happening was we won the game handily. Off of Frostmane Dragons, and yeah, just generally kind of outdrew him. His trackers didn't do really what they were supposed to, and they didn't do as much anyway, and our creatures and our removal just ended up taking over the game. So it was a relatively uneventful game, and pretty short at the same time. That's a good combo. He's probably killing the Sorrow Maiden here. If not, I'm going to kill his Darkshaper Savant. No, he's not. Yeah, the Savant is dying to... Oh, jeez, this hand is just all shrink. I can shrink for 7 here. Definitely just throwing 2 tendrils at his Darkshaper. Yeah, that's wrong of him, I think. But this does mean we do not have the Dusk... Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that works out. Okay, good thing we're just forced to play every card in our hand right now. So this guy will need 5 shrink. So that's 1 of these and the Dire Hound to kill him. And this means that this guy is just going to get the rest of it. So I'm going to battle. And actually, just to play around Wrath's Will 1, I'm going to replace this card. Might as well not give him the value that his Wrath's Will 1 presents. And a 2-3 mobility 2 is not something I'm going to miss too badly. So that was a strong turn. Oh, he has the Duskmane Tendrils combo. Nice. Probably, I assume, killing this Frostmane Dragon out of us, because otherwise that trade is going to be very favorable. Rebuying a Tendrils, I assume. Shrinking the Dire Hound. Oh, prevent damage instead of setting up Wrath's Will. I can dig that. So, what I'm doing is... I wish I had more Tendrils in my deck so I could go Brimstone Tyrant and Tendrils as Duskmaw. But I cannot. I'm actually going to Spite Mage this and play Sorrow Maiden. Leveling Spite Mage at this point is not going to be super relevant, but I want to keep the pressure on right now. The alternative play I had in mind was battling and then playing Brimstone Tyrant to take out the Hermit and get his other guy to 1 health. But this seems like it just does more. Because it forces him to block in certain spots, which means that my Sorrow Maiden is probably going to go through unscathed. Which is going to be very good for me. Yeah, Epidemic into kill this is going to be great. He has the will. Oh, this is going to be so good. Epidemic. Murder this. Brimstone Tyrant. Battle. Right, let's see what leveled cards we can draw now. Amazing. Oh, that is so good. We got the Scorchmane, boys. We got the Scorchmane. And he had the combo again. Such luck. Fortunately, we have the trump in our Scorchmane Dragon that will just kill his Duskmane. Does he have a level? Well, he has a Tomb Pillager here. He's probably thinking about whether or not he's going to block. I think he should, because he has seen all 3 tendrils out of me at this point. So I can't see why he wouldn't block. Oh no, he actually likes to go with the Abyssal Brood. I'm pretty sure he did play. He did see a Tomb Pillager during player level 1, but I don't think he played it yet. So I'm not sure what that's about. It does have consistent, so he did have the option at some point, I am sure. At least I think that's how consistent works. Does he have it again? What an actual luck sack. Oh, no, he doesn't. He's just blocking because whatever. I would rather keep the health on this guy and deal 12 to the face than this guy. And I don't want to play a Warlord. That seems like a waste. So, doing it like this. And there are my dragons. Awesome. So this looks like a solid game in our favor. Although right now he is going to return Duskmane 3. And get to possibly even Tendrils, one of my guys. I assume he's going to return Duskmane 3. Yeah, I can't imagine anything else going down here. Oh, crap. He does not have the Tendrils. Oh, this is so good. Roar, 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 roar. Dragon value. You think you have dragons? I have dragons. Yeah. So as I said, like the two primary win conditions of this deck are just the dragons, and the best removal spell in the deck is the 3rd dragon. Trogdor and the Burninators, indeed. So what does he have here? Does he have the Duskmane combo again? Oh fuck, he does. Oh, that stinks. Big time. What a bastard. What an absolute bastard. Well, we get our free egg, which is something. God, that's annoying. So... Battle. Move this into block, I guess. Sorrow Maiden. Discard Duskmaw. Pass. That was lame. What a luck sack that he had the combo the one turn that I needed him to not, that I played the dragon. Oh well, it happens. I do have the tools to kill off his Dark Shaper this turn anyway, so hopefully that's going to work out. I don't believe he has a lot of leveled wills. Well, there's the Tomb Pillager anyway. I guess the Sorrow Maiden is going down somehow. Just 2 shrinks and it's dead. It'll be dead. Or just killing my big Frostmane. Or the small one, just to keep damage off his Dark Shaper. He's setting himself up badly if he's just going to leave the Sorrow Maiden alive and let me shrink his Tomb Pillager to Maiden it. This indicates that he does have the will. Oh no, wait, if he had the will, he would have shrinked the Sorrow Maiden. Ah, there we are. Maiden going down. Or egg. Egg. Does he have the 3rd tendrils? No, just his Wrath. Killing the Frostmane egg. Okay, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So this guy's dying. So is this guy. And then this thing. I might as well shrink it while I'm at it. So even though he had the best turn ever that he did need to have in order to actually stay in the game, we ended up just demolishing him with double level 3s in the end. I assume I'm going to win this game now. Like, if he has the same turn again, we're not winning anymore. Because he can just do the same crap again. Like, Sorrow Maiden is so good against blockers. This Ebonmount Warlord is not going to live. I think we just have lethal. 24 and 27? No, not quite. We're up there. See how much damage we can do. Just cuz. So, kill that. Howl. Battle. Yeah, going out with a bang. There we are. 4-0 with NT Duskmane Dragons. So, what seems to be the story with this deck is that sorry about that. That was a technical difficulty. The story with this deck seems to be that if the other deck has a weaker late game than this deck will take over eventually because of cards like Frostmane Dragon, Scorchmane Dragon, which are just inherently worth more than the average creature. Although, if it does get overpowered earlier in the game or doesn't draw its level 3s later on, it will eventually fall far enough behind where it's not able to come back. But it has a lot of comeback potential with all its sweepers and solid underdrops. It has, and Duskmaw, and for that matter, it has some of the best removal in Duskmaw and Spite Mage. And yeah, generally just the only thing that gets in its way really is the consistency, but that's sort of what you expect with NT, because, like, if I haven't built the deck in such a way that I can play Flame Sculptor, which I guess is my own sacrifice, but that would make the deck more consistent. Tomb Villager could potentially do it, but that's just short of playable in the deck. If it had a slightly better body, maybe, or if there were more good Nick Grim cards to play, which is generally the issue with this combination. But as is, the deck feels very solid, and I think it will be a real contender, given that you have played it enough to actually know the matchups and how to play it. But overall, it's quite simple, actually, because you usually just play to the board and make sure to handle your opponent's threats as they come, and if you ever have the opportunity, level your good cards, which is probably the main issue that some people will have when picking up this deck. They can't assess the threat of your opponent's current board state precisely enough to know whether or not to level that Scorchmane Dragon over, for example, a Urantia Warlord, which would kill an opposing creature. But yeah, that'll grow on you sort of when you start playing the deck enough to see what wins, as with any deck. But I think it's fun, it's different, and it's definitely competitive. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to visit a1sf.blogspot.com, where I have an article up on this deck, a previous version, but most of what it's about still holds true. Also, go ahead and follow me on Twitter, link in the description, twitter.com/Waxor, and my Twitch channel as well, where I stream once or twice a week. I try to make it twice, but this week I had a bit of a cold. I would have streamed yesterday, but didn't really work out that way. And also, yeah, go follow me on there. Leave a donation, whatever you want. twitch.tv/Waxor, also in the description. And yeah, support Soulforge, play the game, and get hyped for the next WCQ. And I will see you all next week.